what I recommend you do is do an EKG every month, especially if you have one of these. Because what you do with this has got a coin battery in it. So in the little bag, I could change that in a hurry. This one you can't. If that battery is dead, you've got to send it back to Taiwan, and they send you a new one.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. Okay? So that's not, the idea is good, but it's a matter of, are you going to do what you're supposed to do? The guy that designed it had the right idea. Now, does a customer down here pays $200 or $300 for these? These are around $100 each, generally speaking. This is $400 and so on and so on. So anyway, put down number one. What you need to know, and you should know that anyway, is if you're running now, most people take their pulse, okay? They have certain parameters, the marathon people. I gotta get my pulse up to 10 times what it is for 10 minutes. Okay, they have formulas that these runners use and so on. So most people are used to taking the pulse. So the first thing is your pulse rate too fast? So 100 is more or less normal. 140 is obviously too fast. Do something, find out what the problem is. If you just got through running from here to Copper's Cove, you know what the problem is. You know, so
You ran to Copper's Cove.
So that's called tachycardia. Tachycardia.
My son had that when he was
How do I
younger.
spell that?
Tachycardia.
Yeah, tachycardia,
How do
yeah.
you spell that?
Okay,
I'm a
the
worse
second
speller.
one is probably worse.
I barely
Bradycardia.
passed high school
Yeah, you have a
English,
question?
so.
How do I spell that?
Bradycardia.
I can Google that.
It's too slow.
Cardia, something like that.
If it gets down to 30, you're not going to live much longer.
Tachycardia.
60 is a low. 50, you better get in the doctor and find out why. And they will. If you call, they say, what's the pulse? And that's the first thing 911 is going to ask you. You stay by the phone, didn't leave that phone, you answer my questions. And she's got a cheat sheet. Take the pulse.
Too
You
slow.
say, I don't know how to do that. Then it'll tell you. Or if you got a watch, just click it and it'll tell me what the pulse is. So they'll lead you through a list, and don't feed that to the ambulances. It's on the way here, and so on and so.
So too
Those
fast.
are easy. You can eyeball those. If obviously it's going boom, 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 it's too fast. If it's going boom, boom, too slow. Just take your pulse once in a while. Take the EKG once a month. Okay, so those are some of the biggies. Those two. There's 5 of them. I've already told you the myocardial infarction, which is pretty hard for a civilian to do. But if you're a medical student or want to be a doctor, they can learn this easily in high school. This is not something that's above them. Okay, so that's number 3 is when the heart beats, it goes like this, boom, 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 but it's getting a current, boom, 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 okay? When it's not getting its current, it's going to flutters. And then you go into atrial fib, like so, okay? Atrial fib is not good. You'll live with it, but you better get some medical attention. If that goes down to the bottom, the ventricular fib, you're not going to live very long, 4 minutes maybe. So, and these are not hard to decide. I'm saying if you see this, rather than that nice little curve that goes over and over, you know you better do something in a hurry. So atrial fib is another one that you can easily diagnose with your eyes. Okay, so the next thing we're talking about in technology this here is AI, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, if you know much about it, is here, like it or not, it's taken over much of our life. Depends, just like you do, on repetition. The more x-rays it sees, the more it's going to replace the radiologist. They've already said, more than likely, one profession is going to be replaced as a radiologist reading x-rays. Because it's done on an electronic machine. Machine can read it better than human eye can. So AI is here. So in most of these devices that they're selling now, they have included AI in there. So this one here and this one, if I take that, it'll say atrial fib, okay? Normal sinus rhythm, bradycardia, tachycardia, okay? So the diagnosis is made for you. You don't need a doctor. This will do it. Now, and this is where doctors are having problem adjusting to this, like the anatomy table. Do they want to learn it? Just like teachers having troubles adjusting to drones, 3D printing and so on, and computers back in '86. Do they want to learn it or not? And who's going to teach it to these young ones like this? So anyway, write down AR, artificial intelligence.
AR.
AI.
Equals artificial intelligence.
It's good to me.
It looks about right.
Okay, those things remember.
It reads alright.
Tachycardia greater than 120. Greater than. Use a math sign. Tachycardia greater than. Here,
Other way.
just like in mathematics.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Greater than, less than.
I
Have
did
you
it.
used it yet?
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah, right.
see.
It's
Okay.
right.
Bradycardia less than 60. So that's relatively easy. 60 times 2 is 120.
Maybe 100.
Above that or below that, you've got major problems.
Maybe if the
Atrial fib is not hard. If you know your curve, you've got it made. So right now she could be able to diagnose those. Now this is what we're working on.
There you go.
This thing made by the engineer is an EKG simulator. Yes, sir. Let me get that right. That's one of the boards that my students have put together, okay? That's an EKG, so all those wires are the leads coming in there. And interesting enough, I won't go into it too strong, it measures it with a microphone, okay? Now, most of these things, what we're talking about is electricity. So most of these, in a good EKG machine, is made out of silver chloride, okay? So now they're starting to make them like in that little card, where it's made with cheaper stuff, maybe foil or something. So I don't think they put, for the price of that, a good grade of silver chloride in there. But they will in EKG machine. Okay.
I was gonna say.
So, okay, turn the page. So, let's hook these up now. So the first thing you need to do is clean this can if you can. If not, if you don't have time, don't clean it. In other words, if I put this here, let me turn it on. It's on. Theoretically, it should start, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I've already got my diagnosis. It's either going to say normal or abnormal. It's going to give you the pulse rate that you can tell the emergency room people or the 911 people over the phone. It's a lot easier than this. I carry this in my billfold. This is good for me, but you're not going to be able to do that, okay? Or this, it's the same thing. You can if you get mental gymnastics in. So this stuff here was good. This is how fast technology moves. This is better for whoever. In my house, it's me. My wife is, non-ambulatory. So basically, the caregiver, I guess, is the best thing to do it. I would recommend that any of them get one of these, and they don't need to use the stethoscope. Or, if you really want to go cheap, you buy a cheap phone. This phone, and I've tested it, his blood sugar is terrible. We're not ready for that. But we're ready for the pulse, we're ready for the blood pressure, and we're ready for the EKG on each phone. Now, not the cheap ones. the $60 phone. No, this is about $120. So for about $120, this phone will do a lot more than that will do it. So again, you kind of have to decide what is better for you. In other words, my wife has got a nurse coming to see her frequently. She has PT, OT, and so on. So, bottom line, in case of a bad emergency, this is the best thing. Okay? In the case of every weak care or whatever, one of these are good, and keep EKG on file. Okay? So, now, for this world of teaching, what we've already talked about is this is 3D printing. So I would guess if we want to buy a tablet for your school, your library, or 10 of them, they're probably going to be $10,000. So the old way was hands-on. It worked fine for me. I was a surgeon for 25 years. So now we can add to that learning process 3D printing. When I was in medical school, you look through the microscope and you would draw a picture. Now we don't need to do that anymore. She can look through that microscope and print a picture off. She did it at the Jota thing with the, and so on. So now we get to 3D printing. The next big problem we have, the heart, is strokes. So these little blood vessels in the head, you're going to do what we call a stroke. The most common stroke is there's 10 cranial nerves here, 10 here. And if you have a stroke here, and now you're going to go around like that. You're not going to talk very well. So you still may live a while. But anyway, this here now, you go to the doctor, he's going to do an MRI. This is radio comes in. Magnetic resonance. That's all the hydrogen cells, 92% of hydrogen cells in your body now are going like so. Okay? The electrons are getting goofed up. Okay? So now they turn that into an X-ray. So here's a fairly good book for us, the people that want to back up him, how you can 3D print that CT. Look behind there. I have 2 CDs there, I think. And this is something you should know too. I don't know where we're at now. Yeah, this is, I put it away, but anyway, if you go to the doctor for something and he does an MRI, he needs to give you this. Okay? And that system is called PAC, Picture Archival Communication System. And on there will be everything that you need. So you can read them on your computer screen. They'll actually give you the program to read it. And if you move into it like we are in astronomy, I'll be teaching the kids in some of these sophisticated layer photography programs how to manipulate that and print it out. Okay, so, but anyway, you can 3D print your skull if you want. This is off of a MRI. That's a skull that's been 3D printed. Now, surgeons are using these to do surgery. I'm going to give you one example. If kids are born and their heads are attached, more than likely the parent's going to want those heads detached. Now you're talking about very, very touchy surgery. So what they do is they 3D print this, and the surgeon learns how to unattach those 2 heads. Okay? He can't go in. He's got to have enough information to know what to do. And you can see it can be 3D printed out of different kinds of material. This is spongy. So we're at the place now in 3D printing that we can 3D print concrete. I have a 3D printer I've had for a couple of years that 3D prints pancakes. It's from the senior citizen and 3D printed pancakes with it. So all the 3D printer is, in essence, is an XYZ thing. And like you make the frosting on a cake, that's a 3D printer.
And it just
Goes around.
squirts it out the
Yeah.
right way. Yep.
So I don't know now how they're gonna, if they're gonna give you this on an SD card, because CDs are going by the wayside.
Yeah.
This computer doesn't read CDs. My new laptop doesn't. Does yours?
Yeah.
Well, this
I don't
one,
even
this
have-
one
I don't even own
does.
a CD player.
So now we're doing with these little cards, which the problem is when things get smaller, you have a problem with file management, naming it, putting labels on, and so on.
I seen a thing the other day where
Here's another one.
you can clay to 3D print. They're using a clay
Yes,
projector. They
Yeah.
make pots. Well, they're just making houses out of clay, but large scale.
This is this same one here. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at getting a
Here's another
resin
dreamer.
printer.
Oh, what?
A resin printer.
Oh, wow.
Let's engineer the world. Let's engineer healthcare together. This is made by a biomedical engineer. This is a kit, and it comes with all the goodies,
Is that our
batteries
Arduino?
and so on. And what this does is make a simulator. It will simulate all these things. It'll simulate an AFib. It'll simulate a tachycardia. So you just push it, a button on it, put it together, push a button, and you have a tachycardia. You push a button, and we have a bradycardia. Now, these you can buy for your school too. Okay. They demand soldering, obviously, so high school for sure. Middle school should be able to do that. And I would say if they learn soldering, I was soldering when I was her age, my bicycle, so.
Yeah, I had no factors.
Okay, now this is a simulator. Now what we're doing with the simulator
Kind of squishes them.
is, you know what resuscitation is?
Yeah, yeah.
The model you push.
Yeah.
I've got one. We've already taught a class on that. Well, now what we're working on with the simulator is I can put up here or on the screen an EKG. And I take a signal generator, which is easy to make, or we've got some, put it on an oscillator, we put that next to the body. So if we take a drone out to Ogletree Gap, and with the radio people, we now found the person, the airplane that went down, we do RFID, we find where they're at, and now we find a body there, and we need an EKG. Okay? So we go in, we do the EKG, then we decide to resuscitate. So I can, when they've done what I think is right, I can be viewing it with one of our telescopes. That's the other thing we're doing with the dwarf, is telescopy. I can monitor a site with the dwarf. Okay, I have two dwarfs. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Like we track it and so on. So I can have a dwarf sitting there, and then I can push a button, and the heart will start again. So everybody there's going to clap. You did a good job. Right?
Yeah.
So we can use this technology to treat modern day CPR. Right now, we're still pretty far back on it, so.
Right now, my daughter-in-law is doing CPR classes. She just started doing it about 6 months ago.
249, what'd you say?
My daughter-in-law is now doing CPR classes. She started about 6 months ago. She's
Where?
well, she's doing it out of her house, but she's working with another lady that's been doing it for quite a while. And
What's she gonna do with it?
she's going to nursing school right now, so she's just using it for her
Okay.
second income.
Anyway, that's the next thing I was gonna get into as far as where this technology is going. This is called stop the bleed. So for maybe a decade, if not two, to use a tourniquet was bad. And it was, because people didn't know how to use it. So now an Air Force doctor came out with this. Where he got the money, I don't know, but he got it from the government.
Yeah.
So now the state of Texas put up something like $10 million into these for the schools, where all students graduating from high school now must have CPR. Then it's a matter of old, new, or advanced, or they must be qualified and stop the bleed. The only thing stop the bleed is what we're talking about here, knowing the anatomy, the physiology, and so on, and how to use a tourniquet. Not too hard to do. We Boy Scouts used to take a stick, twist it around the arm. The problem is you have to mark that, the time, the hour, the minute that you put that tourniquet on. Otherwise, you're the one going to kill the patient and not the bleed. So these are kits now that they're selling that, to me, every house should have one of these.
Yeah.
Stop the bleed, because you never know when you're going to get in an automobile accident and a femoral, this bone here broke, you're probably going to die if you don't get somebody to put a tourniquet on. That's a lot of blood coming out in a very short period of time. Small bones, no. But big bones, yeah, you bleed in a hurry. So here's another thing with this technology. I tell people I was in medicine 25 years, in medical school 4 years. I never heard a murmur. Never heard a murmur. And I was supposed to. But the bottom line is there's just no good way to teach it. It's like teaching astronomy. I see a star the old way, and I say, come on over, you see it, and by the time you get there, it's gone. It's the same thing here. We got 10 students, you hear it as a doctor, and then the other guys come, by the time the last guy's here, it's changed. So life does change. So what this doctor has done now is use this technology and has recorded it. So now I can hear a murmur and know that that's the atrial valve insufficiency or mitral valve insufficiency, because I can play it over and over and learn it. And that's AI and so on. So I end up with this is your elitists will tell you if you're going for an EKG, you must have a certain kind of gel, electrolyte paste, put it on, then put this on there, it must have silver chloride on here, and then they must do a 12-lead EKG. I say there's nothing wrong with